broadcasting to you from Seoul, Korea at the GOM TV Averatec-Intel Classic. It's a real honor to be down here. I am enjoying these games, and I'm sure you are too. We saw a very interesting match in that last round, one that turned out to be in the favor of Odin, who was, a lot of people thought, the underdog, but wow, he just turned out to be an incredible Zerg versus Zerg player. So props to him for winning that game against the more notable player, Orion. And we have an even more exciting game coming up now. Cassie versus Raid. Cassie, I believe he's just now changed his name to AdamaS, A-D-A-M-A-S, because that's what they told me when I came in here today. Very rarely do you see pro gamers actually change their ID. We did see Iris change his name to Berserker. I think they just do that to confuse me when I try to cast these games and talk really fast, but I'm going to be referring to him as Cassie right now since his name is so new. Although AdamaS, a great, cool-sounding name as well. Cassie's, of course, from the team We Made Fox, and Raid is a member of KTF. This is going to be a Terran versus Zerg. Now, Cassie is one of the most famous Terran players of all time. He's a very, very popular guy. Not only with Terran players, but he has a lot of female fans down here. I can see now it's pretty. I mean, there's a lot more than there were for the previous match. Now, Cassie's style, he's very creative. He does a lot of stuff that you just don't expect to see anymore. He's always coming up with these new moves. I love watching him play. A lot of people say he's kind of like the next Slayer's boxer, always outsmarting his opponent and doing sneaky techniques, so to speak. So maybe we'll see some of that this game. Maybe we'll see some more solid play. A lot of people feel that Cassie isn't exactly the strongest Terran versus Zerg player out there. Although we did see a very exciting Terran versus Zerg about a month or two ago, where he nuke rushed another Zerg player in a televised match, nuking the sunken colonies. It's a very early on strategy where he nukes the sunken colonies and then rushes in there with stimmed Marines, picks off the anything else that's remaining. It's time just before lurkers actually hatch, and it was a pretty impressive game. Yeah, everybody in Korea talking about it for a week or two. Now Raid, he's just an all-around new player to playing on TV. I believe he's been a pro gamer for about 2 years, or at least training with the pro gamers for about 2 years, but this is his first, or one of his first debut matches. And as we all know, a lot of these guys have a hard time playing when they're on camera. And I don't really blame him. There's so much pressure on him. You make one silly move, like we saw not yesterday, but in the first day's matches, where, like for instance, he didn't even take his lurkers off the hold position bug to take out those Marines. I believe it was the player Robbie in the game against Baby. I mean, you can just look like a fool, and it's going to be pretty tough for him to take on a player as notable as Cassie. Cassie is far from unaccomplished. He's even won an OSL. Here we see both the players now. I do see that Raid has joined my game. I am not sure if Cassie's quite ready yet. As you can see, Cassie has just changed his name to AdamaS. AdamaS Tyrannus Maximus. And here it is in English. Classic. We're going to see more and more and more famous StarCraft gamers as the tournament progresses. We've given the most of the notable players seeds far ahead in the tournament, although there were some of the players who weren't doing quite as well just recently, such as Savior and Yellow. We forced them to go through the same process as the other players. Savior, or actually no, excuse me, I think Savior might actually be seeded. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. I'll ask, but not right now. I'm casting the game. So head to head, Cassie versus Raid. The map is going to be Katrina, a popular but slowly becoming too popular map. We're seeing some new maps coming up here very soon in the program.
박준호 선수의 이력을 보게 되면 KTF 선발전에서 가장 놀라운 성적으로 1위로서 입단하게 됐습니다. 그 후로 개인전에 대한 뛰어난 능력을 사서 입단시켰지만 우리 팀의 사정상 그 팀플레이가 좀 부족했고 빠르게 기회를 찾을 수 있었던 방법 중에 하나가 팀플레이였기 때문에 박준호 선수는 저희 팀플레이 적으로서 활약하게 되었고 작년 김영진 선수와 호흡을 맞춰서 좋은 성적을 냈습니다. 이번 시즌에도 한일발은 조합 특성상 좀 어렵다 하더라도 헌터에서 좋은 기량을 내볼 걸로 예측되고 이전에 가지고 있었던 개인적인 기량도 계속 갖고 나갔으니까 홈TV에서도 좋은 모습 보일 거라고 생각합니다.
저는 KTF 매직앤스 박준우라고 하고요. 동족은 짜고고요. 한동욱 선수와 이번에 붙게 됐는데 최선을 다해서 꼭 이기도록 하겠습니다.
That was a little intro video for Raid. I think that was his coach or his teammate talking about him. Probably saying stuff like, this guy is so good, he could beat you only making overlords. But is he good enough to take on Cassie? So most of his experience, as you can see, is in the Pro League. That's the team versus team matches in Korea. A lot of the less experienced players feel much more comfortable playing in Pro League matches, from what I've understood, at least the ones I've spoken to. And that's primarily because they feel like they have the more support for their teammate, even if they lose. Well, hey, one of their better teammates might be playing next. However, here it's an individual match. He's all alone, and he has quite a demon to take on, Cassie. And I now see that in between that time, Cassie, also known as AdamaS, has joined the game. The map Katrina, as I was saying, we've seen a lot of games on it, a lot of fast expanding builds, which makes for some very exciting mid and late game action. We also we don't see too many technical rushes on this map. And stay tuned.
2008 TG Sambo Intel Classic. StarCraft Universe, welcome to the Korea Ultimate Tournament. Get ready.
I see the Observer is allied with AdamaS. No one is on your side right now, Raid. You might be in a lot of trouble. But fortunately enough for Raid, he's already sent that scouting overlord to the bottom, which is, of course, the location where Cassie is. Again, in case you have skipped the intro, Cassie is the more known player, the more known name that AdamaS has. AdamaS is his new name that he's decided to pick up. Cassie is a monster. This doesn't mean that Raid has no choice or no chance, but it's going to be tough. And he knows that. He's practiced long and hard for this match specifically. The players know who they're facing next in the brackets. The result of that is that they've worked long and hard. He's probably only been playing Zerg versus Terran in the past week or two, maybe even longer than that. Depot first for Terran. Of course, Terran always gets a depot at that moment, but my question is, will he get the command center first, or will he get that barracks first? Barracks is a little bit safer, command center a little bit riskier, but it pays off in the long run. I once saw this incredible game Cassie played where it was against Jelizerg. Oh, and it does look like he's going to get the barracks. I saw this game he played against Jelizerg where he tricked Jelizerg into thinking that he fast expanded because Jelizerg's Overlord was floating right over the minerals of the expansion, out of reach of actually spotting the landed command center. So he sent a few SCVs there. The Overlord spotted it and assumed that the Terran was fast expanding, when in fact he had not done that, and then rushed forward with a bunch of medic marine, more than Jelizerg was prepared for, and broke the sunken colony line and just walked over him. Cassie's matchup, at least what he's strongest in, it's not Terran versus Zerg. It's probably his weakest matchup. There are a lot of Cassie fans down here, as I've said before. I'm sure people have showed up for Raid as well. And there is there is a shot of Cassie. That's the real shot, where he's not in his yellow and white spacesuit, but instead the green and white. I think it's tasteful for this season. Look at this. It looks like Zerg, whoa, is going to be is going to be going for a 3-hatch build before the spawning pool. Risky, especially considering the Terran hasn't scouted him yet, and I can almost assure you the Terran will scout that. Oh, actually, you know what? Maybe not, because the Overlord's already flown into the base. Or has he flown in there? I can't see. My monitor is a little, it's not quite that bright. No. So, but in fact, it doesn't matter because he already knows that his opponent's probably on that side of the map. So it looks like Raid's sneaky third hatchery at the expansion will turn out to be possibly very effective, depending on when the spawning pool finishes. Players like Cassie understand the timing of the game so well, he would immediately notice a late spawning pool. Will the spawning pool get done in time? And he did spot it. Now, is Cassie being attentive enough? He might have just, he might have not even been looking at the screen because he simply wants to see how many drones are at the expansion. The command center is almost finished at Cassie's natural expansion. Note that Raid did get the extractor at the bottom rather than the extractor in his main. That's because the drones can mine that spot just a little bit quicker. An academy is coming up. And I also saw Cassie getting an engineering bay. I think one of Cassie's weak points is his medic marine control. I don't feel that he has the best medic marine control out there. Certainly not the worst, or he would not have won an OSL. This hatchery will only be pumping drones. I would presume that we're going to see the standard Mutalisk harassment on this map. Getting fast lurkers doesn't really do anything. Simply because there's no way to kind of contain the Terran and prevent them from getting the expansion with that. +1 attack being upgraded. 1 medic out. If Raid can keep that top expansion up for a while until the there's at least 1 drone for every mineral patch, and then he's got at least 3 to 4 drones in the extractor, he will definitely have a large amount of Zerglings and Lurkers in the middle of the map, which will make it very, very tough for Cassie to push out with. 1 Firebat in there. And he will indeed be making the barracks pretty far out from his main rather than tucked in the back. Giving them quick, well, they can quickly meet up with the rest of the units in 5 barracks build. We saw Tossgirl do something similar to this. Not necessarily bad, however, it'll be difficult to get to that expansion at the top, especially if we see excellent hold position lurker usage. Zergling speed is finished, and Cassie is now taking control of the ledge in front of his, or I should say the ramp in front of his base. Zergling's going to come up here, but back off. The Spire is almost done. We can see that he's saving larva. Whoa, here comes some Zerglings for a surround on Cassie's army! But Firebats, do not mess with them. 4 Zerglings now rushing inside. He did take out a few of the medic marine that were there, or mostly just Marines actually. Now going to rush inside. However, this 5 barracks build that Cassie's doing is going to prove to be pretty effective, considering, well, he can essentially afford to lose a few Marines at the start. It won't hurt him as much, since he's not going for that fast starport. Going to try to take out, oh, nice micro there for Cassie, but he did lose 1 SCV. Mutalisks are now out. And he could, if he gets there fast enough, take out this SCV, which is making the first turret, and now take out the next one. Cassie obviously knew those Mutalisks were coming. I think that Raid is going to probably get his hype up and have a very strong Lurker Zergling army with Defiler support as well. In just a little bit. Softening up that turret. Nice move by Raid. Now, no, not able to take that out. Missed clicking, fumbling with the mutas. Mutalisk micro is something that takes a lot of practice. Making sure you're making drones and constantly moving the Mutalisks around, it's one of the more difficult things to accomplish in StarCraft. It takes a lot of concentration and at the same time trying to study your opponent's tech tree and figure out exactly what pattern they're following and how you can detect to the correct pattern to take that out. Stray Marines for Cassie will be picked off, as well as a medic that literally exploded when it was shot at by the Mutalisks. Nice control, though, with the Mutalisks now, but they're getting pretty softened up. We see a wounded Muta in that group. Sound like I said Muta. Here comes now, moving in with some Zerglings and Mutalisks for a possible excellent surround, but the Firebats once again taking out the Zerglings. A complete and total blunder by Raid. A little bit too Terran hungry. We don't know if that top expansion has been scanned yet, but it looks like, in fact, he will only be using that for the extractor. He probably expanded to that one rather than the expansion at the far top left, simply because Terrans are more likely to scan that spot, because that's normally where Zerg go for their next expansion. However, he will get Vespi Gas a little bit slower. Another counterattack. Nope, he's going to instead try to come up behind Cassie's Medic Marine. I wonder if Cassie has enough Medic Marine there to hold his own against the Mutalisks and Zerglings, which are now have now snuck up behind them. I believe he could take that out without too much difficulty, but he doesn't seem to have a ton of no. And once again, Rage is just attacking the wrong spot. He took out the SCV at the factory. Cassie really shouldn't be putting his factory there to begin with. That's such a vulnerable location for Mutalisk harassment. 2 Firebats. Probably got tired of doing all the work and taking out all these Zerglings. They're going to go on a camping trip up here. Cassie probably sending those 2 Firebats up there because Zerg almost always have a ton of, well, they almost tried to take that expansion up there, and he was probably hoping to just find some drones and take them out. Here come the Mutalisks again, taking out these turrets, opening up this area for some harassment. But here comes Cassie's Marines to catch up, but they're all going to be taken out. Cassie's Marines are just spread out too far, and instead he's going to go in here for a counterattack. SCV's getting picked off, and so are Marines. The Mutalisk harassment proving to be pretty effective, but here he comes towards Raid's main. And I don't think Raid is prepared at all for this. Taking out the drones, the female fans are going wild. And here come the Mutalisks, a few more hatching out. Will he have enough? And it seems as though he will, especially with the Zerglings there. But he lost all of his drones. That's a drone graveyard at the expansion. That will severely hurt his... What? He's still alive, actually. It didn't even occur to me for just a second until I realized there were still... Nice micro and good game. Wow. I know I said Cassie's Medic Marine control wasn't the best out there, but it certainly was very impressive in that game. Cassie just completely impressed us all, I'm sure. And because those last 2 Marines were there, Zerg just did not have enough. He lost all those drones in his main. Wow. So the next map, Hills of Storm, also known as Wuthering Heights, to the non-Koreans. Wow. You can actually see, I'm looking in the booth with Cassie right now, you can see he is so relieved, probably so, concentrating so hard on controlling that group of Medic Marine. I think the attack upgrade also really helped out a lot in that battle, but still, I was so surprised that the Raid didn't win that fight. Either way, though, losing all those drones makes it, pretty impossible to recover. Looks like Raid's actually already joined the game. I'm not sure. Well, he probably did not watch the replay. I don't think anybody's that fast. But we don't see Cassie joining yet. He's probably just going to sit and maybe, hang out in his booth. Probably reflecting how good his Medic Marine micro is. And what a fool I am for saying it wasn't the best out of the pro gamers. Here's Raid. Taking a deep breath, trying to get back into the zone. And my leg is falling asleep. Ugh, I gotta do something about this. Now, the next map, Hills of Storm, also a very interesting map. The center with all these expansions makes for some very interesting games. We could see Terran once again pass, expand, get the barracks, and then the press command center. Command center first on this map, nowhere near as likely, but it happens sometimes. Now Cassie's joined the game. And that means we're going to get this started pretty soon here. Again, this is the GOM TV Averatec-Intel Classic. This is Nick Tasel's plot. We are in the second round of Raid versus Cassie. Cassie, also known as AdamaS. Deciding he likes Greek names rather than the standard American names. Is AdamaS Greek? I think so. I don't know. It sounds Greek. Fooled me. It is packed down here in the building. The fans are going wild at that Medic Marine Micro. Very impressive. And it looks like we're about to start. So thanks. Stay tuned. We got a great game coming up.
2008.